told you that your middle school and high school aged students come into contact with drugs probably at least once a week at school? And how would you feel if I told you that over 17% of American students admitted to using substances like drugs and alcohol during school hours? Drugs in school is a huge problem we're facing right now in America, and I've seen from my own experience when I was in high school, I had an acquaintance that used to steal her mom's Percocets and take them while she was in class. And she even passed out from taking them one time and had to be rushed to the emergency room. I've seen her selling them to other students for personal gain. And I know that happens probably still to this day in schools. Drugs in schools are a huge problem that need to be addressed, and something needs to be done about it. First, I'm going to explain how drugs became prevalent in schools in recent years. Then I'll explain some ideas on drug-based screening processes and things we can do to get them out of the schools. And lastly, I'll explain that by donating and voting in the school boards, we can hopefully put an end to drug use in schools. Drug use in schools has nearly doubled since 2002. Dangerous synthetic drugs have risen in popularity according to narcano.org. There has been a high number of drugs that are not for consumption, like bath salts and a drug called K2, what the teenagers are calling it. They bring it in their makeup compartments and water bottles and things that they can conceal easily. They've been around they've been doing studies on it since the 1960s, and according to Oxford Academic, it mainly started becoming a problem in the 1990s, and then we had the whole say no to drugs thing that we did in school. I remember doing when I was in elementary school. Let's see, according to the CDC in 2010, a survey found that 1 in 5 US high school students has abused prescription drugs during the hours of school time. 86% of teens know someone who abuses at school, and 50% say they themselves have abused at school, according to drugabusestatistics.org. 50% is way too many. Taking drugs in school can affect students' physical and mental ability to function and listen to their teachers and do their classwork. It can provide social problems within their friend groups and make them depressed and not really be motivated to do anything, schoolwork, classwork, anything else, hang out with friends. A way that we could probably control this is to start drug testing students in school, and according to drugabuse.gov, some schools have already started drug testing athletes and certain club members like cheerleaders and other student programs, after school programs, and that has proven to have a significant decrease in drug use in schools. We can also provide more education and spend more time. For example, have certain classes that teach you how to exist without drugs and that you don't need them, and what they do that affects their brain and how they're just simply not good for you. The experts say that by having these classes, it can teach them to get through life without having to use drugs and having to depend on them. It might make these classes also might make them scared to try it, which would prevent them from taking it in school from their friends or wherever they're getting it. Some ways that we can help the school districts is by raising money so that we can provide these drug tests in schools, and also by going to your school board meetings and joining the PTAs and voting for these different, voting for these different laws in school to have drug tests and classes and everything else like that. Substance abuse in schools is a huge problem that needs to be addressed as a more serious issue. By doing so, we can protect our children and family members from a long life of addiction. we as parents and caregivers need to be a part of the change by donating and attending our PTA meetings, and also voting during election time for drugs to not be in schools and get the drug tests that we need and the more education that we need.